Hi, I'm Michael Newrock and welcome to this video, the market analysis for the week starting October 17. We're going to go through a bunch of charts and I'll just bring to your attention, if this is your first time, that we do have three indicators on the charts at the same time. We have the macro levels, which are these horizontal lines, key support and resistance levels, taken primarily off the weekly and monthly charts. We have the price flip reversal system, which are these small arrows, and we have the trend catcher, which are these big arrows denoting starts of new forming trends. Okay, so of course you can get access to these as a premium member, and it's our hope that our members use the indicators as much as possible. Of course, we only publish a fraction of the signals that come out every week, but the indicators allow you to be able to trade on your own, and combined with the market analysis, will hopefully guide you in the right direction on a consistent basis. Now we'll start on the gold chart. So this is on the 4-hour time frame. Currently, we're in a consolidation pattern, hovering around this 1255 macro level. We did think that it was going to go up, a bit of a correction from earlier on, this big drop. However, it didn't. Well, not as yet anyway. Now, just zooming out on the weekly time frame, it's very interesting. We can see that the last week was actually the start on closing of last week of a new downward trend on the weekly chart, and it's quite high at this level as well. So it's seemingly on the grander scale fairly likely that we will see some falls on gold. So looking at the daily, we can see again this downward move and then consolidation over quite a few days around this 1255 macro level. So overall, our thoughts are that gold is heading down. However, in the very short term, there is a possibility of it moving up towards, say, the 1284 macro level. It really depends on what happens here and now. So there's two ways to play this. Wait for a rise before potentially trading short, or seeing if you can pick up that rally from 1255. If it closes back again over 1255, for example, on a shorter time frame. Here we have on the 30-minute, or perhaps the 1 hour, particularly if it's above this this macro level here, then it could be an opportunity. If it closes below the 1255 level, then it's still under pressure, and there's more of a chance of it going downwards before it does see any correction. Particularly again on that weekly time frame, you can see how vulnerable it is to further downward moves. Okay, Euro has been moving down overall on the weekly. As like with gold, it's just, but not quite as pronounced, just formed a new downward trend at this 10992 macro level. So if we zoom in a little bit on the daily, if it closes below this 10992 macro level, then we can probably see further falls to the downside. Again, though, it is looking fairly oversold on the shorter time frames, so I wouldn't be too surprised if it popped back up to the 110.98 before a possible resumption of the downward move. Pound's been taking a battering. It's definitely in downward trend on the weekly. That hasn't changed since last week or the week prior to that. Daily, it's also been drifting downwards slower. So we could see an upward move to that 124.82 macro level before we see another move down. And you can see the price flip indicator here giving quite a few different buy signals. So that's suggesting that we're seeing some exhaustion of this downward move on the 4-hour time frame. Euro pound, it's overall up. On the weekly, we can see that it's very much upward. On the daily, we can see that we've had a bit of a consolidation here at the top. If we can see a swing upward with say this histogram turning green again, then we could certainly see another rally, upwards towards 94.10. But the first thing, obviously, is we've got to break through this 0.9083 macro level. So there's a possibility, say, in this current session now, in about 15 minutes, this candle will close. So that could be a possibility. Right now the risk is around 15, 16, 17 pips, and to the next macro level, we're looking at about 55, 57 pips. So there's a good risk to reward ratio. Okay, small risk, big reward. And if it pops through the 9083 level, then the 9083 level, then we could see further moves upward. Okay, Aussie is also in a bit of a flux. Overall, on the weekly, it has been moving up, and price has been staying above this fast-moving average, but it isn't very pronounced. On the daily, we can see that there was a downward move and then a downward swing, reversing that downward move, and then on the 4-hour, we can see that upon a new 4-hour swing, we could see as well a upward move towards this 0.7676 level, which is acted as resistance in quite a few places in the past. So currently very short term upward, and it really depends on what happens on the 76 level. Kiwi also has been going through an upward trend. However, price has fallen below this slow moving average. So a bit of a clue that it could be moving downward. On the daily, we are downward, and on the 4-hour, we really need to see a pop over 0.7116 to get a move upward. So if we do get that, then we could see moves up to 71.76 or even as high as 73.69. Aussie Kiwi upward overall. We're seeing just a new possible change. This will by the end of the week would have given us a more of an idea of whether this new trend trade to the upside is going to hold. On the daily, it is still very much in a upward trend. So if it continues up there towards that 108.02 and above, then we could see definitely a new weekly trend occurring, and that's to the upside. So we've been bullish on the Aussie Kiwi for a while now, and you can see here probably at this stage wait for either a correction to the downside before going up or a push over 107.29. However, it is getting at those high lofty heights. So possibly a move to the downside, finding a correction and then buying off that could be the best way to go as far as reward to risk. Okay, dollar CAD. We've actually predicted last week that it was going down. Now we didn't catch it at the exact time, and it continued to go through this bit of a roller coaster here. However, we're still standing on that bearish view. On the weekly, it's been very, very stagnant, and it's been drifting very, very slightly to the upside, but really not a lot to give it any credence as far as an upward trend. And on the daily, we're seeing a possibility if we see it close, low than what it already is, or even below this 130.62 macro level, then we'll be in a full, downward trend on the daily time frame within the next 1 to 2 days. So on the 4-hour as well, it looks like we're finally going to see moves down towards that 130.62 or even, testing that 128.32 level. All right, dollar Swiss. This is a chart that's seeing a start of a new upward trend, but it's been very, very zigzaggy. So it's not the most easiest pair to trade right now. On the daily, we can see upward move, and we've seen it stop short of this 0.9916 macro level, and on the 4-hour, it does look like it's in fairly overbought, in a fairly overbought area. Okay, dollar yen. Dollar yen is still in technically an overall downward move. Um, Price action wise, however, we have seen for the first time in quite some time and since this point here that price has actually popped up over both moving averages. So, being a leading indicator, price is going to potentially drag this moving average to the upside. We could see finally a new change in the trend to the upside, but we do need to get that crossover, of course. At 104.20, it really depends. We might get a move up towards 105.41. On the daily, we are in an upward trend trade, and on the 4 hour, we also are. So we could see that over the coming session. And if it busts through 105.41, then that could see further rises up to 108.98 or above. And if it does eventuate, and we do see, this time next week, the a new trend set up having been formed, then we could see some nice rally in the dollar yen for the remainder of the year potentially. Euro yen on the weekly, it's a bit more subdued and it's still very much in a downward trend, and it really does depend. If we see an upward move towards 115.66, then yes, we could see a move to the upside. But at the moment, it's looking a little consolidatory on that daily in that 4 hour time frame. Pound yen as well, it's still looking no clue of it stopping, and just continually seeing record lows on this chart. Daily, looking like it's phasing a little bit, and then on the 4 hour, we could get a move upward for sure, just by being at these oversold areas. Okay, Aussie yen, we can see that we've been rejected twice from the 79.40. If there's a move upward, then we could see an upward move. And this is quite interesting. We're seeing a little bit of an advance of what we were looking at on, say, the dollar yen, with a crossover just occurring for the first time and having closed. At the moment, it's not looking too strong, but if we get a move up above 79.40 and above, then this moving average will look a little bit more stronger, quite a bit more stronger, depending on where price finishes up next week, if it does move to the upside. On the other side, then, if we see resistance at the 79.40 level, then we could see a move back down towards 76.16. 76.19 for potentially another opportunity to the upside. Okay, Kiwi yen. It has also been moving upward. We've got again. This is not a clear picture on the weekly, but we're looking at possible hints that prices is looking at moving upward. And on the daily, we're seeing a new. Again, it's just really very, very close to call on this particular time frame. On the 4 hour, we want to see it move over 74.26 to see any possibility of move upward. If it finds resistance at this level, then we could be in a pattern that brings us back down to that 73.18 level. Swiss yen, 15 minutes looking up. Let's just go to the weekly. Weekly again, I'm looking at these different yen crosses and seeing what potential opportunities there are. Again, we've been going flat, rather than straight downwards. So first clue that there could be a possibility of change in the year. We saw a move upward on the daily, and then a bit of consolidation here above this 105.09 level over the last couple of days. So if we can see a swing upward, then we could certainly see further upward moves on the Swiss yen. CAD yen, we've got, again, it's very similar to the other yen crosses. Support shown at the 76.78 level and also at the 78.42 level, with price above the moving averages. And on the daily, we're seeing definitely in the midst of a upward trend trade, and on the 4 hour as well. So at this stage, the risk is to the upside. We're looking at 80.62 for the next main level. Euro Aussie, we're on the downside weekly, downside on the daily, and then very much on the downside on the 4 hour. So this is a pair that I'd be looking at going short on any rallies that then consequently form into new setups to the downside. Pound yen, weekly, same thing, very much down, down on the daily and down on the 4 hour. Euro Kiwi, down on the weekly, um, looking like possibly forming a new daily, and particularly if we get price under that 154.10 level, that's the level to watch, currently. So possibility of a new macro level to the downside. Pound Kiwi on the weekly, we're looking very much down, drifting a little bit on the daily and on the 4 hour drifting as well. So that's a bit of a tricky one to really call at the stage. Pound Swiss, it's been looking like, crossing over for some time, but it just hasn't. Down on the weekly, down on the daily, we could see another move down, particularly with the pound and how it's been battered around in recent times. If we do get a crossover here, then we could see a run back up to that 126.47 level, and that could be a really nice trade if it eventuates because of low risk and high reward potential. Aussie CAD up on the weekly, down on the daily, and a new one at that. So if it moves back up this up to above this 1.0048 level, then we could see as a resumption of a daily upward move. And on the 4 hour, it's currently down, but it was recently up. So a bit of a cross at the moment, and one to watch because if it moves, say for above this 1.0048 level, then we could see some nice moves further upward, and we've got quite a distance there to go. So good amount of pips in that trade. Euro CAD, we're looking at a bit of a mixed situation over here, sort of sideways on the weekly and looking down on the daily and down on the 4 hour. Pound CAD also very much to the downside on the weekly, down on the daily and down on the 4 hour. So if we can see a rally move up, then it could be a potential setup for a new trade to the downside. And there you have it. That's the analysis for the week October 17. As I mentioned at the beginning of this video, of course, use your indicators whenever you can. As a premium member, you have access to them as a special bonus. So with that, good trading, live well, and I'll see you soon.